Hafa and good afternoon to you and the people of Guam. Today is Wednesday, November 27, 2024. This confirmation hearing will be conducted by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, Chairman of the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance. This confirmation hearing is called to order, and the time is now 2:07. For the record and to comply with the Open Government Law, notice of this confirmation hearing was disseminated via email to all senators and local media outlets on Thursday, November 21, 2024, and the second notice was also shared to all senators and local media on Monday, November 25, 2024. Notice of this hearing was also posted and available on the Guam Legislature's website and the Government of Guam Public Notice Portal. This committee will hear testimony and discussions on the appointment of Acting Fire Chief Daren D. Burrier to serve as the Fire Chief, Guam Fire Department, term length to serve at the pleasure of the Governor. I would like to welcome my colleagues who are joining us here today. To my left, Speaker Therese Serlahi and Senator Joanne Brown. Thank you for being here today. Rules of conduct of this hearing. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and state your name and title for record-keeping purposes. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substantive nature of the agenda. Personal infringement as to the character or motive of any senator or any individuals testifying is not permitted. Individuals who fail to abide by these rules will be restricted from participating and will be escorted and removed from the room. We will now proceed with testimonies and discussions on the appointment of Acting Fire Chief Daren D. Burrier, which I'll begin by giving my opening statement. For those who will give testimony, please give your full name and make sure to state your position titled for record-keeping purposes. We convene to deliberate on the nomination of Acting Chief Burrier for the position of Chief of the Guam Fire Department. As we assess Mr. Burrier's qualifications, it is imperative to reflect on the extensive responsibilities of the Guam Fire Department and the current state of its operations, including personnel, equipment, and future strategic plans. The GFD is entrusted with a multifaceted mandate that encompasses fire suppression and prevention, emergency medical services, and advanced life support programs. The department is charged with controlling and extinguishing dangerous fires, removing potential fire hazards, and enforcing all laws related to fire prevention and control within the territory. GFD also maintains an EMS system, employed certified personnel to provide emergency medical assistance both on-site and during transport to medical facilities. This includes operating necessary equipment to convey individuals who are acutely ill, injured, or incapacitated. And the ALS program offers critical services such as basic life support assessment, medical diagnosis, manual defibrillation, ECG interpretation, intubation, intravenous medication administration, and other life-saving interventions. As of last fiscal year budget requests, GFD's operational framework includes approximately 231 firefighters, 30 emergency medical dispatchers, 8 administrative staff members, and a fleet that includes 13 fire trucks with several currently in service. The budget request noted that the high costs associated with fire equipment and the scarcity of parts present ongoing challenges in maintaining operational readiness. So this will be part of my questions to the nominee. Looking ahead, GFD has outlined several key initiatives to enhance its service delivery. Infrastructure development. Plans are underway for the relocation and construction of the Tamuning and Sinahaña fire stations. Additionally, there is a proposal to rebuild or renovate Rescue Base 2 at the Agate Marina, and establish at East Side Boat Ramp to improve maritime response capabilities. There's also going to be equipment acquisition. The department aims to procure new fire apparatus, including tenders and high-rise apparatus, to replace aging equipment and meet the demands of the island's evolving infrastructure. There's also going to be a focus on personnel development, recognizing the high attrition rate due to retirements and other factors. GFD plans to recruit additional firefighters and establish EMT positions to bolster its workforce. And as always, training and certification. The department is committed to ensuring that all firefighters are fully equipped and trained, both technically and physically, to respond to all emergencies and that pose a threat to the safety of life and property. And we'll go through those future plans in further detail as we go along with the proceedings. The role of the chief of the Guam Fire Department is both demanding and crucial, requiring a leader who can navigate the complexities of emergency response, personnel management, and strategic planning. As we consider Mr. Burrier's nomination, it is essential to evaluate his vision for addressing the current challenges faced by the department, his strategies for enhancing operational efficiency, and his commitment to upholding the highest standards of public safety for our island. I look forward to the comprehensive discussion and to hearing Mr. Burrier's plans for leading the Guam Fire Department into the future. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to you fine gentlemen testifying today. Please state your name for the record and your position.
D. Nuggan, Battalion Chief, Guam Fire Department. I've known Chief Burrier for over 30 years. He's been a mentor of mine, somebody I've always looked up to. I'm sure my colleagues next to me will talk about a lot of his accomplishments. I think for me, the only thing that I want to convey is two things. In our profession, Senator Parkinson, you know, as well as other firefighters, we are built on our reputation and our character. Our reputation is what people know about us. So what we know about Chief Burrier: hardworking, problem solver, always the tip of the spear if we need him to lean and lead our department in the right direction, right? But his character, I think, is even better. He's honest, loyal. His time is not only given to the personnel, our department, leading it forward, but also to the community. He's been a coach. He's coached my daughters, many others. He's been involved with other activities outside of the fire department, but always portrays an icon of stability for us to look up to. In the fire service, our doctrine teaches that officers, chief officers, must be, one, get the job done. Two, to instill skills and develop teamwork. Three, to guard your words. Do not tarnish the department, the government of Guam, our leaders. But most importantly, the last one is to be a problem solver. Do not come up to me with more problems when you have the ability to correct them. And I think for a junior chief officer such as myself, I've always admired that character in him. I do support him as the next fire chief. I think he'll lead our department the right way. And I think he is one individual that can work with lawmakers, no matter the party, to do what's best for our island community and our department and our personnel. Thank you.
Half a day, Chairman and esteemed committee. My name is Edward D. Chaco, Jr. I'm an Assistant Chief with the Guam Fire Department with over 35 years of experience. I'm currently assigned as the Operations and Special Operations Bureau Chief. I joined the Guam Fire Department with Chief Burrier on May 15, 1989, where we subsequently graduated from the 11th fire cycle. So I've known Chief Burrier my whole career. I am honored to present my testimony in support of Assistant Fire Chief Daren D. Burrier for the position of Fire Chief for the Guam Fire Department. With over 40 years of experience in fire service, including more than 35 years dedicated to the Guam Fire Department, Chief Burrier embodies the leadership and vision necessary for this critical role. Chief Burrier's extensive background in firefighting and emergency response has equipped him with a profound understanding of the challenges faced by our community. His commitment to enhancing public safety is exemplified by his initiative in establishing the paramedic program for the Guam Fire Department. This program has significantly improved the delivery of advanced life support services, ensuring that our residents receive timely and effective medical assistance during emergencies. His foresight in implementing such program demonstrates his dedication not only meeting but exceeding the expectations of modern fire service. In addition to his operational expertise, Chief Burrier is recognized as a forward thinker who embraces innovation. He remains current with modern firefighting initiatives, continually seeking ways to integrate new technologies and methodologies into our operations. This adaptability is essential in an era where firefighting strategies must evolve to address increasingly complex emergencies, including natural disasters and hazmat incidences. Chief Burrier's proactive approach ensures that our department is not only reactive, but also prepared for future challenges. A hallmark of Chief Burrier's leadership style is his ability to empower his subordinates without resorting to micromanagement. He fosters an environment where team members feel valued and encouraged to take initiative. This empowerment leads to greater job satisfaction amongst personnel and enhances overall department performance. By cultivating a culture of trust and collaboration, Chief Burrier has built a cohesive team that is well prepared to respond to any crisis. Moreover, Chief Burrier's strong communication skills and community engagement have strengthened relationships between the Guam Fire Department and the residents of Guam. He understands the importance of transparency and actively involves community members in discussion about fire safety and prevention. His efforts have not only educated the public, but have also built trust in our fire service. In conclusion, Daren D. Burrier possesses the experience, vision, and leadership qualities necessary to lead the Guam Fire Department as its next fire chief. His dedication to service, commitment to innovation, and ability to empower others make him an exceptional candidate for this position. I wholeheartedly support his nomination and urge you to consider him for this vital role in safeguarding our community's future. Thank you.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, honorable senators. Thank you for your time here today. My name is Eddie Arturo. I'm an assistant fire chief with the Guam Fire Department, where I have proudly served for 29 years. I am here today to offer my support and provide my highest recommendation for Assistant Fire Chief Daren Burrier for the position of Fire Chief for the Guam Fire Department. Throughout my tenure, I have had the privilege of working alongside Chief Daren Burrier, and I was able to bear witness on his professional development and growth within our organization. I can say with great confidence that Chief Daren Burrier has the necessary attributes of unwavering commitment to both our community and the fire service on Guam. Since joining the Guam Fire Department in 1989, Chief Daren Burrier has consistently demonstrated exceptional dedication and resilience. His ascension from firefighter to his current role as acting fire chief is a testament to his hard work, dedication, expertise, and the compassion that's necessary to serve our community. He possesses an exceptional combination of hands-on experience and leadership skills that uniquely qualify him for the position of fire chief. In the position and role of fire chief, he will face many complex challenges and responsibilities, particularly in today's rapidly evolving environment. The scrutiny of public opinion and the dynamics of social media only amplify the pressures inherent in this position. I can say with great confidence that Chief Daren Burrier possesses the composure, integrity, and foresight necessary to navigate these challenges effectively. His extensive experience within our department is invaluable. He has responded to numerous emergencies, both simple and complex, to include direct knowledge of one of our most important specialties in the Guam Fire Department, which is our Advanced Life Support Team, which provides paramedic services to our community. Chief Daren Burrier was instrumental in getting the paramedic program to where it is today. His tenure as Bureau Chief of the Special Operations Division has further refined his skills in emergency management and operations, equipping him with a comprehensive understanding of our department's needs and aspirations. Chief Daren Burrier is keenly aware of the challenges we face as a government organization. He has the ability to bring together leaders who can devise adaptive strategies for future challenges and crises that we will face as a fire and emergency services organization. His vision for the Guam Fire Department extends beyond operational readiness. He aims to foster a culture of continuous improvement and active community engagement. Under his leadership, I believe that our department will not only enhance safety protocols and response capabilities, but also strengthen its ties to the community we serve. In closing, it is with great confidence that I endorse Chief Daren Burrier for the position of Fire Chief for the Guam Fire Department. His proven track record, leadership acumen, and dedication to public service make him an exemplary candidate for this significant role. I kindly request your support in confirming his appointment, as it will undoubtedly lead to a brighter future for both our department and the community of Guam. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Hafaday, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I am reading testimony in support of confirmation for Daren D. Burrier on behalf of Deputy Fire Chief Joey C. Siniclis, who is TDY at this moment. Hafaday, esteemed members of the committee. My name is Deputy Fire Chief Joey C. Siniclis. I served as Fire Chief from 2011 to 2019, and as the acting Fire Chief since February of 2023 to October 2024. It is with great pride that I provide testimony today as we transition the leadership of our fire department to an exceptional leader, Chief Daren D. Burrier. Chief Burrier is a passionate and driven individual committed to advancing our mission and maintaining our status as the Department of the Decade. His understanding of our organization and its challenges positions him well to lead us into the future. The trust our community places in the Guam Fire Department is paramount. We recognize that our current ambulance situation is unacceptable. We are actively addressing this through collaboration with the Department of Administration and the General Services Agency to prioritize crucial repairs of our current fleet and the procurement of new ambulances. Additionally, our mutual aid agreements with military and federal partners reinforce our shared commitment to community well-being. As we recover from the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, global supply chain disruptions, and recent typhoons and storms, we have faced many challenges. However, we have made significant strides as well. Key achievements and efforts, to name a few, include implementation of a new next-generation 911 system, upgraded advanced life support capabilities with newly trained paramedics, a second cohort of 30 paramedics currently in training. We secured an increased budget for FY24 and obtained several grants. Upcoming construction of a new fire station in Sinahanya and a rescue base in Tuman. A new cycle of 33 fire recruits with another cycle planned for 2025. As I prepare to pass the reins to Chief Burrier, I am confident in his ability to uphold our core values: professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication, and empathy. He has been integral to our leadership team and is committed to nurturing future leaders within our organization. I urge all of you to fully support his confirmation. Together, we can enhance the legacy of service and pride established by our fire department. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing the positive impact Chief Daren Burrier will have on our community and the Guam Fire Department. Respectfully, Joey C. Nicholas.
Hafaday, Mr. Chair, and the honorable members of the 37th Guam Legislature. Hafaday, and thank you for the opportunity to present this testimony. My name is Fire Lieutenant Nicholas R. Garrido, and I serve as the Public Information Officer with the Guam Fire Department, and I am a proud citizen of the island of Guam. Today, I'm honored to voice my strong support for the confirmation of Assistant Fire Chief Daren D. Burrier as the Chief of the Guam Fire Department. Assistant Fire Chief Burrier embodies the leadership qualities, professional expertise, and cultural understanding necessary to lead our department during these dynamic times. With years of dedicated service to the Guam Fire Department, he has consistently demonstrated a commitment to the safety and well-being of our island community. What sets Assistant Fire Chief Burrier apart as a leader is his ability to inspire and guide others, even in the most challenging circumstances. He has shown unwavering support for the men and women of the department, advocating for enhanced training opportunities, improved resources, and workplace culture that prioritizes respect and accountability. As a firefighter and a member of the community, I have personally witnessed Assistant Fire Chief Burrier's ability to address complex issues with professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication, and empathy, which are in line with the Guam Fire Department's core values of pride. Whether responding to emergencies or fostering partnerships with local organizations, he consistently acts with the safety and welfare of the community as his top priority. Moreover, Assistant Fire Chief Burrier understands the unique challenges and opportunities faced by our island. From his efforts to integrate traditional values into modern firefighting practices, to prioritizing disaster preparedness in light of our region's vulnerabilities, he exemplifies what it means to lead with purpose and vision. I am confident that under Assistant Fire Chief Burrier's leadership, the Guam Fire Department will continue to thrive, to meet the demands of our growing population while remaining steadfast in its mission to protect and serve. I respectfully urge this body to confirm Assistant Fire Chief Daren D. Burrier as Fire Chief of the Guam Fire Department. I trust that he will lead with the same dedication, resilience, and commitment that he has consistently demonstrated throughout his career. Jesus Maasi for your time and consideration.
Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to call up the nominee to speak up. Actually, is there anyone else that would like to testify? Please come up before we call up the nominee. For the gentleman that just testified, please, just stay close by in case other panel members have some questions later.
You want to go first?
Frederick A. Black. Worked with law enforcement on this island for about 40 years, and I've known Daren for at least 35 years, ever since he arrived on island when he assumed responsibility as swim coach of my children, all three of them, Sheena, Shantini, and Shane Black. Anyway, I've known the three of you. I just met Mr. Parkinson, but I knew your father. Good guy. One of my favorite, one of the most effective AGs we've ever had. And missed him when he went out into private practice. Appreciate how you ran the port, Senator Brown, and have done a very efficient job there. And I know the relative of Mr. Lahi, Rayner, he's one of our water polo players, can tell you more about Daren than just about anybody. Daren's just one of those guys that I would rely on for, if I had to have somebody come through my door to safeguard my family at age 75 I have a heart attack or something going on, Daren would be one of the people that I would want to come through that door. There hasn't ever been a time on the water polo team where somebody has been injured in his presence that he hasn't swum over, taken the guy or gal aside and administered some type of aid, if nothing else, just counseling. Anyway, he's a terrific guy. If I had to pick 5 people that I could rely on more than anybody, Daren would be one of them. And I just want to say that he's a man of great integrity. It was inspiring to hear the good words of his fellows, which is a constant theme that I've heard ever since I've been on Guam, other people talking to him about, and talking to me about how well he's done. So I give my total support, and I'm confident that he will be affirmed. Appreciate your attention to hear about Daren.
Half a day. Senator William Parkinson, Chairman of the committee, Speaker Teresa Lahi, and Senator Joanne Brown, half a day. If you will just allow me to tell a story before I read my statement or my support. So when we were first dating, that was like 12 years ago, I have an event, and this event is a run. So one of the staff came up to me and said, Tess, do you know Captain Burrier? He was a captain during that time. I said, yeah, sure. Could you please introduce me? I said, of course, not a problem. So we were just dating that time, and I said, maybe she likes him. So I said, okay, no problem, come. So when I introduced Daren, when I said Daren, and she hugged him and said, Captain Burrier, you saved my father's life. And during that time, his father was 40 years old, and 40 years old when he saved a life because he had a heart attack, and the father got to live at 80 years old. So for me, that is something that I witnessed that I'm not familiar with because I've always been in business, so I'm not familiar what's going on with the fire department. The only thing I know is like when I work at a Gang shopping center, every weekend I have a promotion. I go to prevention and make sure that there's an ambulance there when there's a big event. And then the other one, when we went to the a gas station, when he said again, excuse me, miss, is that Captain Burrier? And I said, yes. You know, he delivered my boy. And I said, oh, yeah, he's here. He's already 14 years old. So when he came, of course, she hugged him and said, do you remember me? He goes, I gave birth inside the ambulance. And so after that, when we went, I just looked at him, and I'm proud of him because that's something that I can't do. And so I told him, I said, well, did you assist a lot of, ambulance, giving birth and all these things? And he said to me we did. We delivered a lot of babies. And I said, in my mind, I was quiet, but in my mind, this is a character of a man who doesn't really own anything I, but it's always we. And so that's how I learned to actually love the guy. Anyway, now if you can allow me, I can now, that's a personal story that I have, but if you can allow me now to read my statement. Buenos and half a day. I am here as a wife in support of Daren D. Burrier's nomination for the position of Fire Chief of the Guam Fire Department. His career spanning over 4 decades began with a solid foundation at Andersen Air Force Base and flourished through his 36 years with the Guam Fire Department. His experience and dedication have not only contributed to the safety of the community, but also to the growth and development of the department. His leadership qualities, honed through years of service, make him an ideal candidate to lead and inspire the next generation of firefighters. Daren's story is one of dedication, service, and an enduring commitment to public safety. Daren's journey to becoming fire chief is a testament to the impact and dedicated leadership can have on public service and community welfare. His innovative methods and commitment to excellence have not only transformed the fire department, but also set a new standard for public safety and operational efficiency. As a fire chief, Daren's strategic vision and unwavering dedication are poised to drive the Guam Fire Department towards the future of growth and enhanced community trust. His leadership style embodies the principles of proactive problem-solving and inclusive team management, ensuring that every member of the department is empowered to contribute to their fullest potential. Daren's approach to leadership goes beyond managing resources. It's about inspiring change and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. His combination as fire chief is a clear indicator of his ability to lead by example and his readiness to tackle the challenges ahead with confidence and integrity. Daren's potential as fire chief is boundless, and his vision for the department is sure to usher in an era of progress and resilience. The commitment to public service is a notable calling, one that requires not just dedication of the individual serving, but also support and understanding of their family. Daren and I are both individuals inspired and uphold each other's aspirations. The role of a fire chief is indeed demanding, with responsibility of safeguarding the community's well-being, often at odd hours and under stress conditions. Yet, it's the unwavering support from loved ones that often fuels the passion to serve with even greater zeal. This mutual support system is the backbone of any community-focused endeavor, ensuring that those who serve can do so with the knowledge and their personal sacrifices are recognized and valued. In conclusion, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has unwaveringly supported Daren on his journey. Your encouragement and belief in his abilities have been instrumental in his success. A special thank you to the dedicated team of the Guam Fire Department, whose camaraderie and teamwork have been invaluable. To our friends and family, your love and support have been the foundation that has allowed Daren to thrive in his career. We humbly ask the committee and the senators of the 37th Guam Legislature to confirm the nomination of Daren as the Fire Chief of Guam Fire Department, so he can continue his journey in elevating the services of the department and serving our island community. Your collective efforts have made this journey possible, and for that, we are deeply grateful. Siduus Maasi, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you so much, ma'am. If there's anybody else that would like to testify, now is the opportunity. And if not, I call up the nominee to please give some remarks for us.
Hafaday, good afternoon. Chairman Parkinson, senators of the committee, thank you for being here. Senator Tly, Senator Brown. Thank you, Chairman Parkinson, for having this hearing to consider me for appointment for the fire chief. I first came to Guam in 1985 after joining the United States Air Force and being assigned to Anderson Air Force Base as a fire protection specialist, better known as a firefighter. From the moment I arrived on this beautiful island, I fell in love with it and extended my duty assignment for the remainder of my enlistment. I joined the Guam Fire Department in 1989 with the 11th Fire Cycle. In my 36 years with the department, I spent my formative years being assigned to the ambulance, suppression, and rescue units, but I carried the knowledge, operations where I grew as a firefighter from those around me. Excuse me. Many of my mentors have passed, but I carry the knowledge they shared, allowing me to carry on their legacy and mentor those who come after me. I credit this time in my career for teaching me the camaraderie within the department and what it means to be part of the family of firefighters. The next phase of my career was marked by my involvement in the developing of the first Advanced Life Support Unit. This was the first advancement in life-saving services provided by the department since I joined. It was a challenging task that took years to complete and put into operation. This experience set the foundation for who I am today, reinforcing the value of hard work, dedication, and determination to achieve a goal to completion. The rewards were not monetary, but evident in the number of lives saved. As I continued to develop within the department, I transitioned to administrative roles, facing additional challenges and opportunities. Rising through the ranks, first as a fire captain and then as an assistant fire chief. I took part in improving our department's response capabilities as the Emergency Medical Services Supervisor, overseeing ambulance operations, and later as the Bureau Chief of EMS Operations and Training. During this period, our department became a regional leader in fire service by obtaining professional national credentialing for our firefighters with Pro Board certifications and National Registry certifications in EMS, culminating in the first cohort of National Registry certified paramedics. I share this history so you understand that the fire department you see today is not the same one I entered. The professional organization before you took years of hard work, dedication, and commitment to achieve. It did not take one person, but a team, a family for it to materialize. I believe and am confident that I have the desire, dedication, and commitment to lead the department into the future along with every dedicated professional who takes pride in wearing the Guam Fire Department uniform. There are many things still to do, but we are starting on a solid foundation, and I have outlined a few goals to move forward with improvement in the department. Short-term goals that I'm looking at are reinforcing our emergency medical response fleet. We have, as we all know, faced challenges in maintaining our ambulance fleet and keeping our 8 ambulances up and operational. And as has been voiced out, is unacceptable for anything but our 8 ambulances. Recently, we have repaired some ambulances and returned them to operation. As of this morning, we had 5 ambulances in operation, and as we speak, we have our 6th ambulance going back up into operation. So we'll be at 6 ambulances by the end of this day. We have additional ambulances already in process of being repaired, and they're with the vendors for that. So we are looking at towards improving our fleet readiness back up to 8 within the foreseeable future. The next process that we've been dealing with that is that come Monday, there will be a bid announced for the purchase of 4 new ambulances. So as we work forward with that, we're looking at at least a minimum of 6 months to get new ambulances up and running on the island. And then we will work diligently towards procuring additional ambulances to stabilize the emergency medical response fleet so that way we will not run short of ambulances in the foreseeable future. Another goal is the recruitment of firefighters to bolster our workforce is an immediate priority. Currently, we are conducting a fire cycle of 33 recruits, expected to graduate in March of 2025. These numbers will help, but we still need more due to retirement. We plan to start another fire cycle after the current one and bringing us closer to the required 314 firefighters for full staffing. Currently, we have just over 200, about 230, as you mentioned earlier, Senator. Achieving this goal will minimize the overtime currently required and reducing physical and mental stress on our staff. I commend every firefighter for their dedication and their families for their support during this time, and we are diligently recruiting new firefighters to fill our ranks and provide best services. So even after the next cycle, we will continue to pursue additional recruitment and have additional cycles. Capital improvement, we are ready and looking to break ground on the Sinahani Fire Station. And the project planning stages this has been a project in the planning stages for some time. And this station will bring faster emergency response to Central Guam, housing a fire truck, ambulance, and paramedic intercept unit. We will also work towards procuring of personal protective equipment for each firefighter to ensure their safety in various emergencies. We also have the plans moving forward in the construction of a rescue base in Tuman to be closer to the Tuman Beach area. Long-term goals, we're looking at leadership, career development, investing in professional growth of our team is vital for our department's future. We will establish leadership development programs providing mentorship, training, and career advancement opportunities by nurturing our firefighters' potential and preparing them for leadership roles. We ensure our department remains resilient and capable of adapting to future challenges. It is imperative that we have succession planning and will be a key component in ensuring a smooth transition of leadership and continuity of our mission. Excuse me. 2 is I'm looking at enhancing our community response and developing an enhancement of our community response. We will continue to strengthen our paramedic response capabilities and expand services to incorporate a mobile integrated healthcare system with a community paramedic program. This program will fill healthcare service gaps in Guam, addressing issues like emergency room overcrowding and increasing healthcare costs, providing follow-up care and education to improve patient outcomes. We will work cooperatively with the hospital to identify and support patients who would benefit from this program, and that way we'd be able to keep people from returning to the ED emergency department if not needed. We want to look at improvement in trauma response care. As the chairman of the newly formed Trauma Regional Advisory Council, I will work closely with regional leaders to improve trauma response treatment and rehabilitation for Guam and the region. Guam is poised for significant healthcare improvements, and with, I call that tri-hospital state with GRMC, GMH, and Naval Hospital, we aim to become a regional leader in emergency healthcare. Advancements in cardiac and stroke care are in place, and Naval Hospital is set to become a level 3 trauma center. The Guam Fire Department will meet the demands expected of us to support this type of center and providing advanced improvement in pre-hospital continued medical care. These goals are the forefront of the path I am to lead the department towards, alongside other demands. It will be a challenge, but with hard work, dedication, and commitment from me and my team, I believe they can be achieved. I would like to thank those who have come out to support me today, and I will do my best to live up to all your expectations. Thank you to my fire family for believing in me and supporting me. I cannot do this without you. And thank you to my wife, Tess, who has supported me, giving me the confidence to achieve my dreams and keep me grounded and humble. And thank you to my daughters, and I have one daughter here, and their families for their support. I'm blessed every day with their presence. Thank you to the Governor Lulian Guerrero and Lieutenant Governor for having the confidence in me to lead such an important, prestigious organization. And Chairman and Senators, thank you again for the opportunity to speak before you today for considering my nomination favorably. Thank you. Sijus Mase. Happy Thanksgiving, and God bless.
Thank you, Chief. I have a few questions before I open up the floor to my colleagues. Our first one is regarding cooperative purchasing agreements. Cooperative purchasing agreements allow multiple jurisdictions to pool resources and negotiate better pricing for larger purchases, such as fire trucks and ambulances. Cooperative purchasing could potentially reduce costs and expedite the procurement for essential GFD equipment. Though one concern with cooperative purchasing is the potential to bypass local vendors. Do you support incorporating cooperative purchasing into the Guam Procurement Code, and why or why not?
Well, one is I do support the idea of supporting our local vendors because, you know, keeping our economy going is very important. But at the same time, because of the nature of our response units, if the need arises where we would need to be able to acquire our response vehicles at a faster rate and possibly at a more competitive rate, that would be something that would be favorable for us also. So I can see a benefit in it in order to be able to buy from that type of program.
Thank you for that. In October 2024, it was reported that the Guam Fire Department had only 4 operational ambulances out of the standard 8 recommended by the National Fire Protection Association. What is the status of the ambulance fleet and the procurement of new ambulances and the repair of the ambulances?
Okay. Currently, we will have 6 ambulances online. Like I was mentioning earlier, we have 5 ambulances in operation at stations now. We have another one that came up this morning that is being stocked and is being transported to the station it will be operating from. So within an hour or 2, we should have 6 ambulances up and running. We currently have 3 units at a vendor that is waiting for parts to be repaired, and that has already been pushed through, so that is an actively working process. And we have another ambulance on our maintenance field that is the engine's being redone by our mechanic, and we're looking at acquiring a few parts for that and having that back up and running. So within the foreseeable future, without any other given timeline, I'd say within a month to two, we could possibly have a full fleet of 8 online with an additional one. Then, as I said before, come Monday, there will be an announcement in the Post announcing the bid process for 4 new ambulances. So we'll be going through the procurement, the bidding, and then receiving the bids, and we could see possibly, new ambulances coming in, within 6 to 8 months, hopefully.
Okay. And so currently there are six running,
Yes,
and then 3 at a vendor awaiting parts, and 1 currently being repaired by your in-house mechanic.
correct.
Okay. And I had reached out to the vendors, kind of asking for a timeline on when these parts would come through, and they say it's within the next week or so.
That would be fantastic.
So I could foresee at least 9 of the vehicles coming up within the next month.
Yeah.
And if I have this correct, you're having a bid go out on Monday for 4 more.
Correct.
And what is the turnaround time from bid to completion?
I would see a favorable outcome, at minimum of 6 months. It could be longer depending on the process and if there's any contestings or issues within the supply.
Okay, but ballpark on your previous
Yeah.
experience, 6
Yes,
to
6
6 months?
Yeah, yes.
So that would put us closer to 14 ambulances within 6 months, closer to 10 in about a month or so.
Correct.
So the frequent breakdowns of ambulances, averaging 12 runs per shift, have been attributed to the high usage and delayed maintenance due to awaiting parts. What steps will you take in the future to make sure that the maintenance protocols and supply chain management ensure that the ambulances remain operational and reliable?
Well, for one, whenever we buy the new ambulances, it comes with preventive maintenance contracts that we have through the vendors. That helps us. Also, getting our ambulances that need repair, we get them back up online, and we're able to purchase additional ambulances. I would like to see the fleet then be brought up to a capacity to where we're able to do regular rotation of units from being operational and then into service in order to help with the wear and tear. Because the problem here, as the ambulances start to age, because all the ambulances that we have now were all bought within the current expected life capacity. So we're at the right period in time to be purchasing more ambulances as we are doing. But as they get older, the wear and tears, they start to break down more often, and we can never plan for the breakdowns, but what we can do in the future is to bolster the fleet to a level to where we can at least rotate a minimum of half the fleet out of service while we rotate in units back into service and have them have preventive maintenance conducted by our maintenance division or the vendor, whoever it's under at that time.
Yeah, because having 8 ambulances up going in a month and 6 more coming in 6 months is great. But what happens when the ones that are currently in the system start breaking down?
Right.
What if we find ourselves, so we got to be proactive and make sure that the things we have that we know are going to break down, we're ready to repair them.
Correct. And then part of that plan would be to have our, the plan of purchasing additional ambulances, 2 to 3 ambulances every couple of years, to where we'll have a continuous rotation of new ambulances coming in that would have a longer period of runtime compared to the older ambulances.
Yeah. Could you expound about that? Like, besides addressing the immediate shortage, what other long-term plans do you have to ensure the sustainability and reliability of GFD's fleet?
Well, getting into a planning process of where procurement of ambulances will be on a regular basis, because we already know that as we do wear and tear on the ambulances, within 2 years, we're going to start seeing more maintenance being done on it, more breakdowns happening because of that. So we want to be able to purchase additional ambulances, 1 to 2 ambulances every 2 or 3 years, to have a replenishment of the fleet happening. And it keeps the cost down because the newer ambulances will have less maintenance compared to the older ambulances. And so gets to the point to being where we just need to replace the ambulances. So ambulances look to be replaced after about 4 to 5 years. We want to start replacing a fleet. So as we're doing now with the new purchase, then we have 4 new ones coming in, and then the ones that need more repair, we'll be able to take more time, get them repaired, maintain them as a backup fleet as we get and purchase more ambulances. So after we get this bid completed, we want to turn around and work diligently to put another bid out for additional 4. And that way we'd have a fleet of 8 ambulances that would be new. That's the planning phase we're at right now.
Okay, and one other question about some key infrastructure is, I know GFD has outlined plans to relocate and rebuild key fire stations, such as those in Tamuning and Sinahanya. And you also want to establish new facilities like the East Side Boat Ramp. How do you plan to prioritize and oversee these infrastructure projects to ensure that they are completed on time and within budget?
That's a good question. Well, one is I would rely on my team. A lot of these items have been in planning phases for a while. We look for alternate sources of funding for the construction of these through grants, through loans or whatever is available to us in the programs. So we want to be able to fund it and have the money for it. So as it is right now with the Sinahani Fire Station, when we were able to get it out to bid, and it was going to go out initially, the price of construction was up because of post-COVID issues. And now, fortunately, the cost of construction has gone down a little bit, and we were able to then award the bid that was within our budget means. And then, and so that's what we'll be practicing in the future is to push forward on our plans in order to get the construction and the bid out in order to get the appropriate pricing. And, we want to be able to get these things for the people. So the rescue station in the Matapang Beach area is one of our next construction programs that we are working alongside GVB with.
Yeah, no, and I would definitely suggest some level of urgency with these new infrastructure projects because we're kind of still adjusting to this new post-COVID world and prices are continuously going up and there are announced tariffs on the horizon that could potentially significantly raise the cost of construction.
Yes.
And so time is not on our side with getting new projects up because the longer we take, the more expensive it's going to be. Yes. So the sooner we can get these projects going and earmarked and paid for, the better for everybody.
Correct.
At this time, I'd like to open up the floor to questions and comments from my colleagues. I'll start with Speaker Therese Terlahi. Thank you for being here. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, and to all those who testified and all those who submitted written testimony as well. We did receive a packet with several other written testimonies, all in favor. I just wanted to mention that as well. So these testimonies are very helpful to us. I very much appreciate those like Assistant Fire Chief Chaco, where they talk about, the values that we want to see in a new fire chief. For example, transparency, valuing the need to build trust in the community by your transparency and your actions. And so I thought that the testimony received was very encouraging in that regard, Chief Burrier. And, but I do also have some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Following up on your last point regarding the Tumon Rescue Station at Matapang and working with GVB, how will that be funded?
I don't have the full details, but I know that it was in the plannings with our my rescue bureau chief is the operations chief is the one spearheading that, and That was with talks within GVB and their refurbishing of the Matapang Beach. And part of those plans was the funding and construction of a rescue station and ramp for our jet skis to be able to respond to water emergencies within that area.
I think we saw those plans in the newspaper once, and then we've also seen in the news since then that GVB has kind of walked back on improving Matapang, it looks like, and I'm not sure what is going to happen
I know
with
there's
that.
been discussions, and there was a redesign of the beach area, but I do know that the rescue base was still included there, but it was just relocated and adjustments were made for it. As far as where it goes to the future, I'm looking and hoping favorably that we will be able to complete that project with their help and moving forward with that.
All right, so that one is dependent on GVB.
Yes.
And the east side boat ramp, we've been talking about this since I first became a senator, so yeah. The funding seems to have jumped around. Where do you expect the funding to come from for this boat ramp? Is this a project that you're actually working on?
I know it's a project that it's been in the works with. I don't have the full details on all the fundings behind it at this point, because I know that the location for that side boat ramp has changed.
Yes.
And adjustments have been made, and at the time, I wasn't fully aware at that time, and then I don't have the exact details as far as the fundings and the source of those fundings. But I know it's been in the works, and we've been wanting and support that.
What is your understanding of the latest site for this?
The data?
The latest site that they are designating for this?
The last site I heard in that discussion was they were looking at the Talafofo or the Inrahan area. Yeah.
Is this a project of GFD?
Yeah, we're working with the entities involved with it, and my rescue commander has been involved with it since its start. So I know he has more information on it in the latest. I haven't heard the latest details on it since.
Right. Because we talked about funding this through Department of Ag at one point, the port at one point, I think different other entities.
Yes.
All right. How long have you been acting fire chief? Is this your first time to act as the acting fire chief?
I've been in an acting position at various times due to the fact that the fire chief was off island, and they put me in as the acting for that time. But as far as this period of time, I've been acting since it's been about a month, and we started in October.
All right. What do you expect your biggest challenge to be as the fire chief?
Well, my biggest challenge, I think, taking on the challenge of the whole thing, I find the challenge to do it exhilarating and to lead the department. I think it's going to be a challenge to be able to get our numbers up. It has been a challenge for the last 10 years to get our numbers up to the level that we need them to be, and we just have many firefighters that are already moving towards retirement, and then bringing in new firefighters. In the numbers that we are bringing in the new firefighters, the biggest challenge now is that succession planning. Is getting our medium-level management personnel, the captains, lieutenants and captains, into that succession planning in order to bring them up to the understanding, the education, and knowledge of what it takes to be a chief officer and be able to run a department. That's the education we need to do now. We need to prepare them for that.
All right. My understanding, since my experience here, whenever you've come in, you've played a major role in this education process for the fire department and leading in making sure that there are programs for all of them. But the numbers still look like you've got 200, you said, but you should have 314.
Correct.
So you have 33 recruits active right now and 20 that have been funded for FY25.
Yes.
Is that 20 or 40 funded for FY25
For the second group, or
for in the next fiscal year?
for the next fiscal year, we're looking to probably add to that numbers because one is we did lose a couple of our fire recruits. They dropped out of the program, so we went from the numbers we had, we're down to 33 recruits at this time. And with the ones that we've lost, then that frees up some budgeting for additional recruits for the next cycle. And then also we have some retirees that have gone in, and that also gives us some breathing space to bring in some more recruits.
Right, because the budget, the regular FY25 budget said it made one appropriation of $794,000 for 20 fire recruits.
Yes.
And then the supplemental budget said the same sum for additional support for the FY25 cycle of 20 firefighter recruits. So I
Yes.
wasn't sure whether that's to add on another 20 or just to support the first 20 because it wasn't enough.
Well, it's to support because, but also we find that because we have lost a couple of fire recruits in this previous cycle, that money is then able to be saved and used towards recruiting additional.
All right, so if you had add the 33 and the 20 to your existing 200, you're only going to have 253 at the end of FY25.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we'll pursue additional recruitment.
Okay, and speaking of the recruitment and the retention and the promotions that you discussed, do you believe that the promotions in the fire department are fair, or is there a way to improve that fairness?
Well, I believe our promotion process in the department is fair. We have developed within our training programs and the levels of different pro board certifications and requirements for each level is now incorporated into the level that you're going to go into. So it brings it more of a fair playing ground for people who apply, because now they know more of the education and needs and certifications that they would need to go from a fire lieutenant to a fire captain. As far as improvement, everything can be improved on. So I don't believe in sitting on my laurels and saying, okay, this works just fine, so let's keep doing it. There's always room to look at it again, reassess it, and if there's changes that we could do to improve the process, then we can do that.
Do you believe that all the personnel are equally notified of existing certification training or that it's made available to them?
I believe so. It is available. They all have their training jackets. They can all review it, their training jackets ahead of time. If they're not unsure of what certifications that they do have, then they can all be able to independently look at the Pro Board website and do lookups to see the certifications that they have. They're able to look at courses that are being offered to obtain those certifications. I know myself, I did pursue higher level Pro Board certifications for my position that were not being provided on Guam in the timeline that I needed it, so I did my own personal travel to obtain that certification at the Alabama Fire College. So we do have that program. Those programs are available for pursuit, but it's also at the discretion and at the funding, personal funding of the firefighters, because it is for personal enrichment and then also for upward mobility.
Thank you. My understanding is that when there is a recruitment for firefighters cycle, that the lists are very long compared to, for example, recruitment for GPD or DOC. Those lists are not as long as the fire departments, which go thousands, they say.
Yeah.
So do you believe that the selection process that exists for those recruits is fair?
Yeah, and we have, I believe it's fair, but also we have done some improvements on it with DOA. We worked with them. In the recent past, we improved it by adjusting our physical agility test that was being provided for many years. We changed that to the fire recruit physical aptitude test that gave a certain amount of stations that they would have to go through at a certain time for a pass or fail. and then they were given a written exam that they have to pass with an 85% or better. That helped diminish the amount of numbers that were at the final part for consideration. You know, the numbers, because of the fact that 85% on a written test is a higher passing rate, you know, is a lower passing rate. So we would get ones who were able to pass the test. So the adjustments that we're doing on that too is to make it equally, instead of a pass or fail on the on the FRPAT that we do, we're discussing now with Department of Administration, HR, in order to look at adjusting that to a time-based and giving percentage points to time-based. So if they were able to finish a little faster in their time, they would get a more favorable rating overall, and it would go in increments until it reached the point of failure. Because the pass or fail was just a blanket. So we wanted to improve the recruitment process by getting people that were able to have critical thinking and take college level courses, and then also ones that are physically fit enough to meet the demands of the fire department.
All right, thank you. And now you talked about the ambulance situation. The chair talked about the ambulance situation. We were in here on an emergency session based on the ambulance situation. So at that time, there were 4 operable ambulances out of 15. And now you're saying today that you've repaired some. Today you have 6, and
Yes.
in a little while you'll have 7?
I'm very hopeful and praying that we'll have 7 to 8 within the next 2 months.
Oh, all right. I thought there was one more.
Today, we have 5 at the beginning of the day.
6 is today. Okay,
6
6
is
is
today.
today. And then the 4 new going out for bid. So
Yes.
in the PDN in September or October, they said you're going out for bid for 5 new, but today you're saying for 4 new, and I just want to know, at that time, you were not aware of the source of funding, so what is the source of funding for these new ambulances?
The ARP funding,
ARP?
yes.
Is this,
So we're putting up for 4 additional, but if you know, depending on the price quotes that come back from the bidding, if we're able to then to fund 5, we'll do 5.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. And then you saying that, you said at our hearing, the problem with the ambulances, why did we get to this situation, was because they did not purchase new ambulances regularly, and that was kind of the error.
No,
And you've
yeah.
said today that you were going to continue to put out bids and purchase going forward, but with what funds? What is your plan on that?
Well, the plan on that is to we're working on a 5 to 10 year fleet replacement program, and so we want to be able to incorporate that into our budget, on our budget requests, in order to be able to accommodate that. So we're not looking at doing, in a 5 to 10 year replacement program, we wouldn't necessarily look at doing a large purchases, but doing it at a reasonable amount in order to do a continuous replacement as they get aged, and that way the budgeting of those would not be as much of an impact on the overall budget.
All right, so but after the use of the current ARP funds, there are no other funds targeted for purchase, for example, in the next fiscal year? yet?
Well, that's what we're going to work towards and see if we can
All right.
discuss that.
And then you talked about this, what do you call it? The mobile integrated healthcare system
Yeah, mobile
program.
integrated.
You want to use your personnel to provide follow-up care to those patients in the ER?
Okay,
And
no,
I'm
no.
wondering
Okay, okay.
how you're going to do that when you're not even up to your 314 yet.
Okay, this is a long-term goal, ma'am, and it would require us to, we're going to bolster up our paramedic program. We have our 2nd cohort in place right now. So as we finish and we graduate this cohort, we'll be working with GC in order to do a continuous paramedic training program through them, and then we're going to work towards getting additional paramedics. So the idea with, there's 2 different types of paramedics in this type of program. So you have emergency response paramedics, who will respond to initial emergencies in order to provide that life-saving care and get them to the emergency department. Those would be the firefighter paramedics. Then we want to start looking at, as GCC offers the course of paramedic, to be able to create a civilian paramedic program within the department that is a community-based paramedic. Now, the community-based paramedic is basically an 80-hour employee who comes in Monday through Friday. They would be working closely with the urgent care facility out of the hospital, and we would identify patients that are being discharged that are of one of high probability of readmission, of returning to the ED, that don't necessarily need to go. And most of these people that we're transporting back on repeat visits, all they need is to be able to have that follow-up care within the 48-hour period to make sure that the medications, that they are able to get the prescriptions, the medications, if they need adjustments, can be determined. We'll able to have the face-to-face consultation with the physician while we're at the residence. And we can address these needs where they're not getting it otherwise because they haven't made it to a private medical doctor.
Right.
And then we can also assist them in setting up appointments.
Okay, and so when you say civilian, paramedic, or community-based, that means that this will not be an additional duties put onto existing
No.
firefighter
No.
paramedics? Okay. So,
It'll be a clinical-based paramedic.
all right, thank you. I'm looking forward to that, and it was my honor to work with you and the rest on making into law the licensing of the paramedic program, and you really were and did successfully implement this nationally certified and locally licensed paramedic. So very grateful to you for that ER to the door service, and hoping for your continued success in this regard and all others. Do you believe, there has been some proposals that separating paramedics and firefighters, right now you have all your firefighters are EMTs.
Yes.
Right, and that there would be a cost savings if you separated those, or training, or do you
No, I don't see that.
See that?
No. One is, when we're looking at emergency response paramedics, having the discipline, knowledge and experience and education to be able to respond to multiple different types of scenes, to where you're not only going to be able to perform as a firefighter, also as a rescue personnel or hazmat, and be a paramedic at the same time, and be able to give that advanced care. I don't see any cost savings. I see it a cost expense there. I see it a cost savings for the government, because now you have an individual who's able to do a multitude of jobs that individually it would cost the government a lot more by separating it and having somebody just focused on one discipline. If we're to do a paramedic separation, it would be more towards that clinical paramedic program, where we would have a follow-up clinician type paramedic that's going to visit these homes to help, because it would be at a lower cost than just going to the ED. And that's where we would see savings in healthcare costs. And then we'd be able to help the community more efficiently that way. And then we'd have our emergency paramedics that would be able to do a lot more. And part of the expansion I'm looking at is that our rescue having paramedics on board, and our trucks having a paramedic on board if possible. It is a difficult course. It takes a while. I'm in the current course that we have, so I've been in it since the early part of this year. So
which course?
The paramedic course.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have been taking it on this cohort. Okay. So as we progress forward, the value that they have, if we were to have on some of these long searches for hikers and stuff, and have a paramedic with that search group, it could make a difference. I'm talking to and working with our partners out there at HSC 25, and them talking to us about if we do any kind of treatment in the field like that and needs to be recovered, and they're going to airlift. If we have a paramedic on the ground and they need that paramedic to continue, then they would be able to bring up our paramedic and continue that care to Naval Hospital. you know, it brings an advantage to everyone.
I think it's not a debate whether there's an advantage of having additional paramedics. It's just whether to continue to classify them in the same type of hourly structure or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's fine. I understand it, and I appreciate your thoughts on that. Finally, the E911, and I think you were responsible for that for a while as well.
No, I haven't. I wasn't part of the 911.
Okay.
But
Do you have any thoughts on that or improvements?
like I say, everything we do, I think we can improve upon. The 911 system right now, the personnel that man it are terrific people. You know, they're properly trained, and for what they deal with on a daily basis. I mean, I know our firefighters get a lot of stress, and they deal with a lot of different types of people. They get hostile people, they get friendly people, and they're able to deal with it properly, you know, empathetically, and have a good relationship with these patients. But our 911 operators, it's the same thing. They get the irate caller that comes in, and they keep their composure, and they're able to guide them through the call and get them the appropriate help. And as far as improving the system for them, it would be good to where we move forward and probably, I know there was discussions and plan of making a central communications center where the 911 would be located at with a dispatch. And so I'm you know, excited about any talks to that future in order to make an improved and hardened facility that would house an important program like that.
All right, yeah, I have heard no complaints about the E911, the people who work that system. In fact, I was actually just curious about the use of the funds, if you think, you know, that those uses can be improved or not. But we can discuss that later. I know I've taken a lot of time, Mr. Chair, and my colleague is waiting. But thank you very much for your answers. Thank you for your willingness to serve in this position. I know it's a great responsibility, and that's why I'm here too. I wanted to just ensure that all my questions can be answered because this is a very important responsibility where all the people of Guam are counting on you and all of your team and your ability to work as a team for the benefit of the people. So, si Zeus Masi.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I'd like to recognize Senator Joanne Brown. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to all of you. Certainly Acting Chief Burrier for being here and providing your presentation. Certainly your dedication to the work that you do is very evident.
Thank you.
But you know, when we previously discussed this issue not too long ago, a couple of months ago, when the concern obviously came up with regards to the number of with regard to your ambulances, we were very concerned about the fact that only 4 were operational. I'm sure for you it was a concern and for your personnel. But you know, I sometimes, and I've been at this a long time, 36 years now in government, and I'm still surprised that the basic operations and the things you need to put in place don't exist. I mean, we can have the personnel, certainly you have that have the training, but if they don't have the equipment to work with, especially during a time of need, and in almost all cases when the public encounters you, except for when you're doing your routine job and you're going out and doing outreach in the community, it's most challenging times.
Yes.
And to get back to where we're in what we viewed as crisis, we did ask you if 4 ambulances were adequate, and you said it was. And for us, we kind of, all looked at each other and go, I don't think so. In terms of the demands, because when you're out there, and I live not too far from Route 4, I hear those ambulances all the time. Daytime, nighttime, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's unfortunate that that's the circumstance, but when our people need that help, obviously we want to be in a position that we can respond to them and respond to them in a timely fashion. You mentioned when the speaker had inquired that the new ambulances that you're looking at purchasing were funded by ARP funds. Have there been any other ARP funds prior to this to fund any ambulances?
I'm not sure about that, ma'am. Because the last ambulances that were purchased was in 2021. Okay. So those were the white van ambulances. I'm not aware of the funding that was used for that.
I think because I'm sure you understand, and of course you can't account for previous leadership, but this to me should be a standard thing. I mean, yes. If you need to operate, you need to make sure you have the equipment.
Yes.
We shouldn't be at this juncture trying to figure out, okay, you know, every 2 years we're going to order 3. I mean, whatever the case may be, whatever you determine that should kind of be standard operating procedure put in place, and prioritize funding so that you do have the equipment to work with, because, you know, it's unfortunate. The health of our people is not the best these days. And the concern we have is always wanting to build upon that we're getting better at some point, that things are improving, that we're putting the effort so that, you know, 3 or 5 years down the road, we're going to be in a better situation. And when we come back repeatedly to, this is an old story. You know, this has happened many, many times. You've been in the fire department long enough to see, we've been down this road many a day, and it's what do we need to do to change that direction so that we're not in crisis mode, we're not simply waiting, or the issue of procurement, which we know is challenging. Government procurement is challenging, and yet we still have operations that we need to meet, and how do we work around that, and how do we be persistent to ensure that we have operational capability?
Yes.
So how do you see moving forward, even beyond your time as fire chief, to standardize this process so we're not visiting this old story again and again?
Yeah, that is one of the things I want to do, because I know we've discussed it in the past, in previous leadership, is to standardize our procurement process of our fleet. But in addition, we also have to standardize our procurement process of our vital equipment and everything. So I know part of the way we want to do that also in planning for it, in moving towards a reassessment of our fee schedule, because our fee for ambulance transport is inadequate, and we need to bring it to a standard to where we're able to collect at least the Medicare allowable rate. And that would help us plan better, because it would give us the funding within the special flame fund that would go towards the purchase of equipment and towards training and other issues that the flame fund was established for. So I'm hoping as we move forward, and we're going to be addressing that reassessment for our fee schedule, which would benefit us. And that's a very important one that we have.
How about with regards to your ambulances that need, in some cases, they just need parts to repair them? How are you addressing that? Is all that being done by private vendors, or do you still have your in-house mechanics to work on these ambulances, or what's the current case?
Yeah, the ambulances are under warranty still, or have to have a special whatever they need for it. It's still within the vendor process, such as the vans and our 2 red ambulances. So we have 2 ambulances that are serviced by AutoSpot mechanics, and then we have the vans that are serviced by the Cars Plus. So because of that, and the fact that it's a warranty issue, and we have them take care of it. But our mechanics are still in place. Like I say, one of our mechanics is now working on an engine to get it up and running, and so I'm hoping that will be in the very short foreseeable future, that will be up and running, and they give us that additional one. But I would also like to see where, as we start to improve this process, to improve our maintenance facility, because our maintenance facility has never really had a major improvement done to it. And if there's any way we are able to address that, when I start discussing this with my team, I'd like to be able to address that. We need to really take a look at that and see what's the best course of action we can do to improve the maintenance facility and the equipment that they have.
Is it still located at DPW?
Yeah, they still operate very well. They're at the DPW yard. They have a facility that they work within. I've been down there a few times, and they do a very good job. But I just like to give them better support.
How do you address procurement? And I think it's wonderful when we still, as with our own cars, you know, we still have warranty. We can go and turn it in and get it serviced, and they're responsible for it. But when that warranty expires, do you have any arrangements in place? Because it sounds like you have different brands of ambulances, and you know, maybe one part doesn't, you know, you have to go to special order for that doesn't necessarily match to the other ambulance, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's the same with our fire trucks too. So just like currently we have different fire trucks that are under repair, and they're different brands. So different vendors are going to work on them. It's not going to be the same one. So we have to address them within a procurement request, a requisition, to where we group the like kinds in the same requisition in order to have, and the price quotes coming from that vendor. That way, when we do process it through GSA, they understand why we can't put all the fire trucks into one vendor, because one vendor can't take care of all the fire trucks.
Well, I think it's probably something with procurement you might need to look at to see what arrangements can be made, or if it's something maybe the law needs to be amended to allow you to have that ability, that aftercare, so to speak, because you have specific equipment that only can be serviced by certain vendors because they're the only ones that provide that particular type of ambulance. Maybe that's what needs to be looked at. I mean, I know the nightmare of GSA, and they're not fully staffed to begin with, and everything stands in line, but
Yes.
I think we agree that the work that you're providing is life-saving in nature and that should be prioritized. I really think that's something you need to look at because, you know, sitting waiting for GSA, we're going to be waiting a long time. And there's only so many companies, I'm assuming, with the type of ambulances you have that can provide those parts. So we're not sitting having an ambulance totally disabled because it's missing a part that could easily, you know, hopefully be acquired and put in place because of that. I just am not having a comfort level that the quality of health care is moving up. We hear all the complaints about where we are with the hospital. We've lost the capability at public health to service a number of our people in central and southern Guam. And then when we're back to the old story, if we're down to 4 or 5 ambulances, you know, it doesn't give us any comfort level to feel that the quality of health care and our response is improving. And I'm sure you would like to see that move forward. How many fire stations do you have on island?
There's 12 fire stations. We got three fire units. And
okay, and are all of your fire stations fully, do they have the equipment? Do they have all the fire trucks that they need? Does every single fire station have a functioning fire truck? Do they have more than one? I mean, where are we with regards to fire trucks?
Yeah, we have some fire trucks that are in for service right now. So we have some stations that do not have an actual fire truck there, but we do have either a fire truck or the ambulance is there, or we have a responding unit that can be able to respond.
And is your similar situation with regards to getting the parts you need for fire trucks, or is that a little smoother? Or
No, the fire trucks, we were working on that. Like I said, we have two fire trucks that we just got the procurement PO cut for them to be repaired. We have a couple more that we're just waiting for the PO to be released for those to be repaired, because they were part of the group of fire trucks that different makes but need to be separated in order to accommodate the different vendors. So that is in the process now, so we should be seeing those fire trucks come back up online and start having full complement.
And I think the other thing you need to work on, and I know it's funding, but you know, it comes down to priorities. How do you make them? What do you cut? And how do you fund? Having reserve capability. I know that would be a dream, but I think it's necessary.
Yes.
Because if you have the equipment, you know, you don't have the equipment, but you have the staff who's sitting around that doesn't have the equipment to operate or respond, I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating because we're no further along.
Yes.
And that really is something that I think really needs to be looked at so that we're not in that situation. Because, you know, firehouse without a fire truck just doesn't seem complete.
Yeah, and we have some new fire trucks that we have coming. The Senai Fire Station, the fire truck will, we've been working with Gura to purchase that one. We have worked with Congressman Moylan, who has been able to provide us with an Ever fire truck that is currently being, you know, not on its way yet, but it's been already in the process. So we're looking at a fire truck from him, and then in the foreseeable future, we're also looking at procurements of additional fire trucks.
How about the fire hydrants? Who's in charge of maintaining the fire hydrants?
And that's Guam Water Works.
And how's your relationship with that, so that when you or if you have to respond to a fire, is that something you guys also check on a regular basis? Because, you know, we have Waterworks telling us, you know, GPA is in charge of our generators. We're like, oh, wonderful. And you don't know that your pumps aren't working, you know, when the power goes down in a typhoon because you're not checking.
Yeah.
You know, so, GPA is in charge. Well, you know, if it's my operation,
right.
I'm going to want to make sure it's operational, be it GPA or whoever. I'd be on GPA to make sure that my generators are working. So. How is that relationship, and how do you have a way of ensuring that you know, if the need is there, that those fire hydrants are actually operational for your needs?
So each individual station, the station captains there, they set up certain days where they'll go out and they will do hydrant surveys. So they actually take care of bush cutting around the fire hydrants. At times they'll even paint the fire hydrant, make it more visible. So we do a lot of maintenance to upkeep the area around it. Then they will flush the hydrant, be able to see what the pressure's like, especially at certain different times of the day. So that way, and then it's recorded, and they have it on a map at the station and available to them, to where they're able to see what fire hydrants are working in their area, what fire hydrants have good pressure, which ones have low pressure. Any fire hydrant that needs repair, that is information is then put forward and gone through the chain and put over to Guam Waterworks for them, their understanding and knowledge, and that way we're able to have that recorded that we've requested for a repair of that hydrant.
I want to ask you with regards to your training, this was an issue brought up with the Guam Police Department because, you know, we often hear, it's a different time. And when we were growing up, we're dedicated, Guam's home, and we love being here, and we're here to service our people because this is our family. Nowadays, it's all about me and what I want and how I can advance. If it means leaving, then who cares? I'm going to leave Guam if that's what I got to do. But in this process, I mean, the people of Guam invest money in the training, as we do with Guam police officers, for example, and paying for their training of going through that process. And then they decide to leave, and we're left holding the bag. What is the process in the Guam Fire Department? If you're providing training to fire, for potential firefighters, and they decide to leave, is there any agreement that you have with them that they have a service time that they have to pay back to the community for their training? Is that in place?
No, we haven't really had much of a retention issue as far as people leaving for other departments in the States. I mean, it's not that we haven't had people leave, but they leave because of other reasons also. They leave because of family issues. They needed to relocate. But what we do in the fire department, I mean, starting from the cycle, from my own experience, starting from the cycle, it's one of the most important foundations that we put into place. By doing our fire cycle and conducting the training and then the physical fitness that we put through there, it creates a bond amongst everybody in that cycle. It creates a family. And that lays the foundation for when they move into the stations, and that continues to grow as they develop more relationships with other firefighters. And then it's the dedication of the service. It's just all the firefighters I know out here. And that was, if you ask me, it's like I had people ask me, why didn't you stay with the Air Force, get out of the Air Force and stay with civil service and become a firefighter? There was just something about the Guam Fire Department that attracted me. I decided I wanted to stay on Guam, and I moved over to the Guam Fire Department. Even though I was already a trained firefighter, I entered into the fire cycle. And the main reason was I wanted to have that core group of co-workers that I could rely on as brothers, that any time in my career I could call upon them to help me. And with that, it laid my foundation in order to develop that closer relationship with all firefighters. But even if I don't have a close relationship with them, we all wear the same uniform, we all understand each other, and we all support. And that camaraderie, the morality there and the support that we get, it helps retain the employees. And then when we improved our training process to where before, it's just basically here, you're in the cycle, you finished it, now you're a firefighter, and then you'll get whatever training we give you. Now that we have pro board certification trainings, that's professional level trainings that is recognized, internationally. And if any of these firefighters decide they want to go work at a fire department in the States, they would be brought in immediately because they have the qualifications. It gives them that credentialing. Giving that helped improve morale because now we recognize as management that they're worthy and it's worth for us to have them at that level. It also justified the fact that this is the department that serves the people of Guam. This is what the people of Guam want. They want professionals that are out there toting the line that's going to be responding to them to save their lives. We want to reassure them with that. And then also moving towards National Registry for our EMT certifications. That National Registry is just basically that level that establishes you as you're competent to respond to somebody and provide them care at time of need. So getting to that level and then moving up through those certifications, because they have the EMT certification, they have the advanced EMT certification, and then they have the paramedic. That's the professional, they consider the professional level of EMS. So having all those levels available for us to respond and have that knowledge and education, it gives us a sense of pride to be where we're at, to work. And I believe that when a firefighter, for whatever reason, needs to leave us and relocate to the States, it's not an issue of a pay issue or unsatisfaction in the job. It's because it's something they have to do that they wish they couldn't do. And so we haven't developed anything in writing to where we hold them to so many years of service before you leave us.
Well, I'm happy to hear you don't have as much of a retention concern in the Guam Fire Department, but I probably think this is maybe, if not through administrative process, because certainly the police chief has relayed they are working on institutionalizing that. Maybe the legislature needs to standardize that throughout, just as a, you know, if we're going to invest in you as a community, then I think there should be an expectation that the people of Guam you know, get something back on that, particularly in these critical areas that we need your expertise. I know you mentioned you didn't need Bill 362 that Senator Blas and I had sponsored a couple of months ago. I think we are going to probably move to override it and give it to you anyway, because, Chief, whether you recognize it or not, I mean, these concerns actually came from your own people.
Yeah, I mean, and to revisit that, I think it was misunderstood when I said that I was satisfied with 4 ambulances. I'm not satisfied with anything but the 8 ambulances. Anything but 8 would be unacceptable. It's just that what I was trying to convey is we go down to 4 ambulances. We have contingencies for our responses. We have a way of triaging our calls, of responding appropriately, relying and getting the help of our mutual aid benefactors in order to be able to achieve the responses that we need to and get the people that need us the most to the hospital. And that's what I was referring to as that, is why we are able to maintain ourselves. Is it to the optimal level? No. Is it to a satisfactory level? No. We need to have, and it's better for the people going to have a full 8 online. So yes, and as far as the bill, as I said, at the time it was being addressed, it wasn't going to help me through my process of getting the ambulances repaired that I'm having repaired now. But if it was a tool that was available that would benefit, you know, then I would be able to look at that favorably, you know. But it was, as for immediate, I just want to make it understood that I couldn't use that as an immediate fix. But for future uses, if we get into the same predicament, it could be a tool that could be used. But
what would you determine? What would you determine as critical then? 2 ambulances, 1 ambulance?
Well,
when would you determine it to be an emergency?
I would already be considering to make use of it if it was in place when we're down to 4.
But when would you determine to be an emergency if you think 4 ambulances is not critical?
Well, that's what I was saying. The 4 ambulances were critical, but you know the passage of the bill would not have helped me through that procurement process at that time. But yes, if we go down, and we have a standard of 8, if we go down to 6, then we need to start getting things back up online.
And I'm sure it's more stressful on your personnel to try to accommodate, even though you might have these plans in place. It makes it more difficult for them to do their job without having
because they're in the front line, and they're the ones that are going to hear from the client, the patients and stuff, the family members when they arrive. And then they would have to be the one to make them understand what's going on. And that's not a nice position to put anybody into.
Well, I think you gathered from our comments that equipment is critical. I'm sure you'll put that in the forefront in terms of putting the schedule in place. You know, it's not rocket science. I've done major operations where we have how many different pieces of equipment and they're not off the shelf. Yeah. But we have to be a little more aggressive in getting these things in place so we're not losing operational capability, because the impacts are going to be very direct on our community. So I certainly hope you put that in place and are very vigilant and aggressive in addressing it, because this to me is not progress. When, like I said, this is an old story. I think we want to move on from it. We want to ensure that we have the capability, especially if these ARP funds have been available, you know, to purchase these new ambulances. We just have to make that a bigger priority, because I don't think any of us have comfort level with where we're at right now. So I do wish you well with the remaining time in the administration of, and appreciate you stepping forward. You know, it's tough to be in the line of fire, and thank goodness there's only 3 of us here. Imagine if there were 6 or 8, senators, we'd be here till midnight with all these questions, but I appreciate you taking the time and responding to our questions very directly, and thank you to the members of your team and all those that came and provided testimony in favor and appreciative of the work that you've done and who you are and what you've invested in yourself all these years to contribute back to the community. Not everyone gets to hear that in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll say it at your funeral, but you don't want that. That's too late. Who wants to wait till that? Till then, it's good to hear that you have that support, and I certainly wish you well in this adventure. I mean, you have the experience all the years that you've served, and I'm sure you have your own vision of what you'd like to see improved. And like I said, at the end of the day, we just want to see things move forward a little more and have some comfort level that things are on a very progressive track. We all want to see that in our community. So thank you so much for responding to my questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Brown. And thank you, Chief, for coming in and submitting yourself to the process. I really appreciated your comments talking about how you couldn't have gotten here without your team. And I really appreciate that perspective, because when I think about what is GFD, what is the Guam Fire Department, I don't think of the buildings or the trucks or the uniforms or anything like that. I think of the people. The people are what make Guam Fire Department the department of the decade, what makes them such an excellent fighting force to keep our people safe. And one of the things that I remember from my own time as a firefighter is the long hours. Such long hours that there were some summers that I spent more time with my fellow firefighters than they did with their spouses. That was the nature of the time we had together. And the thing I found in that time is that you could not fake it for that long. Everybody who did PT together, they know exactly where everybody is on the PT pecking order. When everybody's got to hump some packs and who really gets the grind done, everybody on that team knows exactly who gets it done. And it was really encouraging for me to see that there were so many people that were behind you, behind your leadership. Because, in my time, I've known that there are leaders by title, and then there's leaders by the bond. And you currently have the title as the acting chief, but I have witnessed today that you also have the leadership by the bond, that these people follow you because they see that you have the qualities necessary to be somebody worthy of being followed. And, if I knew nothing else about you, that would be enough, that people who have worked with you for 30 years say, I want to keep following this person. Because, 30 years is a long time. That's a lot of time to mess up and spoil relationships and burn some bridges, but you've done an excellent job of fostering good relationships and good working practices and good values to not only embody in yourself, but to embody for the Guam Fire Department and pass down to the people that come after you. Because I know when I was nominating my own chief for higher positions, I did it gladly. And so I know it's probably much the same for you. And that it's important for us to foster that culture to pass down to future firefighters, especially this new generation to change. It's up to you to lay down that foundation of excellence for everyone that comes after you and to continue on the good work that you inherited from other great firefighters before you. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for submitting yourself to this process. And I do believe this is probably going to be our last meeting as your chair here. And so I just want to say to all of the Guam Fire Department and everybody under my charge as your chairperson, it has truly been an honor and a privilege. And I look forward to the change that comes next year, the new challenges, the new leadership. But through it all, I will always be a steadfast ally of the Guam Fire Department, and I don't ever see that changing. So thank you so much for coming in today. If there are no more questions or comments, this concludes our discussion on the confirmation hearing for the appointment of Daren D. Burrier to serve as the Fire Chief for the Guam Fire Department. The Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance will continue to accept written testimony on today's hearing within 5 business days from today, which will be mailed to my office at 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Suite 905 of the DNA Building, Hinagatnya. You may also send your written testimony to my office via email, senatorparkinson@guamlegislature.org. Thank you all for your participation. This confirmation hearing is adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, and the time is now 3:50.